Hello, people. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, your screen is black right now. I'm, I couldn't sleep. Not sure what direction the camera is showing. But either way, good morning to you all. Good morning. Good morning. It is May 15, 2025, and it's about 2:45 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. I doze off a little bit, wake up, put on some videos, and yes, what's in the public right now, sit up, is the talk on the recent trial. So is it day 3 or day 4? Completed day? Let's see. Day 3 was completed. Yeah, trial on Sean Puffy Combs. And yes, the media is focused on this. What I want to talk about, what allegedly happens to women in general, and where we go. It's quite sad. Um, yeah, I did not know that particular singer. Never met him. Never wanted to meet him. But he's in the public eye right now. The trial started this week, and wow, yeah, I've so basically I just want to talk from my heart, just my feelings about everything. Um, why do these things happen? I am, yeah, Cassie Ventura. I think she spoke twice. She's very pregnant. Boy, to have to speak on trial regarding a relationship that ended about 6 years ago. She is now since married and her third child on the way, and she's very pregnant. And she was wearing an outfit, a dress that shows every curve. And it's a good strategy. Yes, let people know, hey, you're pregnant. You don't have to be there, but you're there. The stress that she must be going through. Quite embarrassing about her having to share the things that happened to her growing up. With her relationship with Puffy. Yeah, he's been around for a while, and I don't follow the music genre. But of course, you have computer, just signing on. You'll see the advertisement and the news. You can't avoid but hear about the news and all that. But I've never was a fan of his. And to me, he was what he was. And I'm cautious with certain things because of my personal experiences. Um, to me, he just seemed like someone, um, not someone who I want to be around. Let me just put it like that. Yes, sometimes when you're brought up in um, violent or controlling environment, when you grow up in it, um, you're more sensitive to certain vibes of others. So big personalities like him, I stayed away from. It's easier said than done. Let me just say that. If you're not raised in an environment that is very, to be cautious of certain types of people, you might be initially attracted because of the glamour, promise of money. And I think a lot of it is women are promised certain things. Women are promised certain things. And let me put my glasses on, make sure so I can see who's on. Yeah, women are promised certain things out there. You have the person in the power seat. And the person in the power seat could be male or female, actually. But oftentimes it's the person of the opposite sex. And they wag money, gifts to entice you, or promise of a job, promise of fame. And that seems to what happened with Cassie Ventura, and many, many women like her. They're attractive women. Cassie started out doing modeling. She wanted to do music. And I remember growing up in the early 80s with regard to modeling. And these two photographers that I know, and the black photographer, he photographed celebrities, sports people mostly. And he was good enough to tell me, he said, as a black woman, you're just there for the sex. Yeah, kid you not. Kid you not. Yeah, I remember he told me that. Because he knew I didn't have a clue. Yeah, sometimes when you want to validate yourself, women who want to validate themselves, I mean, I say it like that. Please don't take it the wrong way. All of us need some type, human beings want to have a sense of value or validated, you know? And so some of us want validation by the way we dress. You might get dressed up, wear nice clothes, wear makeup, get your hair done, get your nails done, things like that. You may be attracted to things like modeling, acting, because then, people get to look at you and they compliment the way you're dressed and everything. But I doubt any woman in her right mind would say, hey, I want to go into this line of work, in the public eye, whether it's modeling, acting, musician, things like that. I doubt any human being would wake up one morning and say, I want to go in that line of work so I can get abused. But that's what happens sometimes. Um, so Cassie had shared in testimony that she met Diddy, she was 19. And I'm thinking back when I was around that age. Yeah, again, it's a power dynamics. He was in his 30s. It was a big age gap. And Diddy's was around for a number of years when she came in the picture. But at 19 they met, and she had someone at that time. She had a boyfriend. But it was after the 2-year mark, when she turned 21, did they have an encounter, a physical, romantic encounter. So what happened there? Sometimes women may feel compromised that what's expected of them, even though she was dating someone other than him. They weren't initially romantic, and she had someone. What could happen? Well, what could happen? You like the attention, and she was promised. It seems like after their first encounter, sexual encounter, um, according to her, um, I'm not going to say what type of sexual encounter it was, but there was an encounter. And at that point, was she promised a 10 record album deal. Well, that never came into fruition. So he's violated his own promise to the girl. See, once especially a man promises you something, well, make sure you get it in writing. What is the agreement? Get an agreement. Whether male or female, get a written agreement. And do not have sexual relationships in any form with that person. Because once that happens, it seems like with women, once a man gets you sexually in a situation, he feels oftentimes he doesn't have to do anything else. Why pay for the milk, so to speak, when they gave the milk for free? And that's how they see it. They're on an almost 11-year journey, a real rocky one at that, a real journey. Yes, the lights are out here, but you can still hear my voice. So what happens, people? He pulls the deal. But because he had initially wagged the carrot in front of your face, the record deal, a 10-record deal, they had, I think, one record or one album, and that was it. They were together for almost 11 years. So in that 11 years, he didn't produce any more albums. She has songs that she's written. Ladies, and even some gentlemen that are in these type of relationships, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't mix business with pleasure. Don't do it, because you're going to lose every dime, or at a cost. And it cost Cassie her dignity, her safety. She was abused physically. That video that they shared last year, her getting a beat down, that was brutal. I remember the first time I saw it, I jumped. It was very, very graphic. You don't need that, ladies. You don't need it. It's not worth it. Soon when you mix business with pleasure, you lost the game. and 20 million what she was awarded after 11 years of brutality is not worth it. It's not worth it. So it seemed like a big enterprise that Diddy allegedly had. Yes, he had Cassie as his, I guess, his main squeeze, but he had other female sex partners. And she didn't like that. I remember when I used to live in the Caribbean, you had some men who were possessive. I knew a lady who shared a story to me. She was dating this man on the job, and it was I think back then, could have been a supervisor or at one point, there was a power dynamic. She had a child from a prior relationship, and I think he lived with her. And then one day he leaves the island where they lived, came back shortly with married to some other woman. And he has the nerve to come back to the lady that I know and said, well, yes, I did marry somebody else, but I want both of you still. I want you still. She said no. Well, guess what happened? She got beat up, my friend. Yeah, she got beat up badly. Yeah. Could you imagine? You're dating a guy, living with him, and then he sneaks off island to marry another woman that you didn't know about? And then get upset because she doesn't want to share? You lied to her, married another woman, weren't even brave enough to say, hey, I'm going to marry somebody else, but you married in secret, came back, and then, because she says she's not going to have it, and he beats her up. These type of things. You have men who abuse their power over women. I just remember that. See, there's a power game. And once you compromise, that's it. They feel that they own you. Be more selective who you get involved with sexually or go out, even just for coffee, because it could be strings attached. Once that link is made, it seems like especially when it's a sexual encounter, or if they spend any money on you, if they buy you lunch or buy you dinner or buy you flowers, they feel that they own you, that they possess you. Once that transaction, once you accept even a penny from them, or a business deal, hey, I'll help you get this job, that's another biggie. Any one of those things that I just discussed, whether they helped you get a job, whether they gave you money, whether they bought you anything, whether it be flowers, candy, jewelry, took you on a date, any one of those transactions and others, they may feel they own you. Excuse me, they may feel they own you. And they will take advantage, especially when any of those things, when those things happen. Okay? Don't get it. Try to avoid getting into that. Find out who this person is. Now, Cassie was young. She was a teenager. But at the age of 21 is when all it really started. And yeah, thank you for the thumbs up. That's when it all seemed to start. Once she had a sexual encounter, That's when the dynamics changed in the relationship. And again, she had someone at that time that she was dating. And she thought after that encounter, or closely after that initial sexual encounter, that it was going to be an exclusive relationship. Well, it wasn't. And that was the other problem. So, could she have left at that time? Maybe. Maybe she could have left at that time. Um, but it was difficult because she wants the record deal. She wants the 10 albums. And I would imagine that he kept throwing that over her head, that you better do what I tell you to do, or you won't get it. There's a lot of power being played upon Cassie, allegedly, according to the courts, what the court hearing is saying. Uh, he would give her things and then take it back. If he doesn't like the performance, he would take back what he gave her. And he had other people, allegedly, other people who had allegedly uh, assist him at his activities of this control. It's quite sad. I know of other people, other women, and it seems to be a pattern, like this other person that I know. And they get around, you know, being with them for about the same amount of time, 10 or more years. But this person that I know had children with this person. The person was cheating on them. The person was beating her up. Person made her get a miscarriage when he threw her down the stairs while she was pregnant with twins. Wow. Very sad. And what was said in that situation, the person said they're not strong enough to leave. Wow. Yeah, sometimes we're so vulnerable. The women are more emotionally based. A lot of our behavior is based on our feelings. And a lot of fear and intimidation is done. You're not strong enough to leave. It reminds me of the scripture where in Genesis, the curse that Eve in the Bible allegedly gotten according to the scriptures, that how was it worded now? Your desire would be for your husband, and he will control over you. It's very reminiscent of everything that you hear that happens to these women. They get emotionally involved, and you can't seem to break that feeling. You become emotionally dependent. I say programmed. Once you link up with someone, especially through sexual relations, there's a link that is forever between you. And they say when something like that happens, you're having sex with everybody that partner of yours had sex with. And were those relationships trauma? Most likely. So you receive as a woman because the nature of your anatomy, you are a vessel. And whatever trauma those other partners, sexual partners, had with that person, it is going in you. You are receiving all those negative vibrations in your body. And it gets more and more difficult to leave, especially when you have a child with that person. over 10 years this person had suffered, and you can't leave. Why are these relationships, even jobs? I know about job situations. And some companies could get abusive, and they're abusive to people. I know of a situation, the person couldn't leave until they signed this paper, so they're being coerced, lied on, manipulated. Yeah, even these jobs are getting abusive. Regular job, 9 to 5 job. It was a small company, and there was abuse. Wow. Yeah, no, I remember another person that I knew in a relationship for a number of years, long, and multiple pregnancies. Multiple pregnancies. It always seemed like that they were getting him pregnant on purpose. They had access to contraceptives, but they didn't feel like using it. Then finally, the person got these birth control that you implant under the arm. Yeah, and those have bad side effects. So initially, it's convenient for ladies who don't feel like or remembering taking their pill. So you have something that's inserted in your arm. You don't have to think, but you still can get diseases if you don't use protection. And the bondage that is formed, and it was, even though it was an abusive one, they were getting beat up. The person was doing drugs. The boyfriend. And I told the person, I said, hey, it sounds like this person might be doing this type of drug. I'm no drug expert or anything like that, but you talk to people and you hear about certain symptoms, and that's. So I was guessing, and I did guess correctly. So they have these mood swings and stuck in this relationship for years, getting abused. But one day you say enough is enough. Every woman has their own threshold, but sometimes it's too late. Sorry. Sometimes it's too late to leave. And I'm reminded about another relationship that someone talked about. A YouTuber, a fellow YouTuber who passed away 2.5 weeks ago that I talked about. And one thing that was clear that was said was that she was being followed before. She may have been trafficked. I wonder whether this person was trafficked. Very suspicious, some of the things that happened to this lady. I think of a lot of parallels to other things that I know about. But yeah, there was a meeting many years ago with this person, and it was a man. And the person later on conveyed to them that I will always be there following her. And many, many years later, could have been close to 20 years later, 15, 20 years later, yeah, this other person that she met, turns out that he knew that other guy. And they may have spies or associates, whatever you want to call them. But they're people that are planted in your life. You have people that have so much influence. They have the money to, or people are willing to do their dirty deeds and send them in that person's path, but they're going to be really representing that other person. You know, your abuser. I think that this person, the victim, uh, that I think the desire for being known was a big factor. They wanted to be around high profile people. Ladies, is it worth it? Is it worth it to collaborate with people you really don't know about? Person had all these, as time went on, all these collaborations on their channel. Who are these people? It's a big thing now to do collaborations with others. And it seems like it builds credibility in the audience. But yeah, are you giving away your soul in the process? Are you giving away your soul for notoriety? These connections. And I think even with the people like allegedly Diddy, it just seemed like these meetings or collaborations, it's like a snowball. It rolls down the hill and the snowball gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and they feel more powerful. And people start to believe that they're powerful. Your truth becomes what you believe. And if you believe you're powerful or someone else is because of their connections, everybody's assuming everything else. But it's like the Wizard of Oz, that Oz is perceived as being the all powerful, but they're not all powerful. They only become powerful because you make them powerful, because you listen to their instructions. What came out in the Diddy trial was that he had people that worked under him that were instructed to do various tasks allegedly. And this made him powerful. Maybe he was promising all these other people money. Maybe he gave them money on the side, or maybe they wanted a record deal also, or get into Hollywood, whatever. Everybody's afraid to leave. If you worked under that man and the alleged things that he did to people, men and women, and you stayed, why did you stay, individual? Why did you stay? You stayed because he could have maybe threatened you physically, or the fear of being physically hurt. Your career, hey, you want to get into music industry or entertainment industry, and you're just buying your time until that thing comes your way. So you stay long enough and long enough, and you're losing your sense of self. You're losing your sense of self, and that's also what Cassie said. You start to lose your sense of self. She was promised 10 albums, and she might have only got one. And even though she's there for 11 years, she's going to do one album a year, but that didn't happen. And the forcing. And then you want to please, and they use reverse psychology. So, oh, you didn't do what I told you to do. I'm going to abuse you. And another part of the victim is saying, well, I just want to please, so I don't want to get him upset. And they do everything to try to so-called please that questionable person and everybody else. Okay, he had other women. It'll be interesting if his other so-called female partners, whether they'll take the stand what they went through. A woman's not going to stay unless she's given something. That is my opinion. They're getting something: attention, money, clothes. Ladies, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Your dignity? Yeah, that scripture verse in the Bible that he will control you. You do these things, this emotional attachment that you can't break, and that he will control over you. Yeah, they're controlling over you, and your emotions are locked into that person. It's very hard. Sometimes they might throw charm on you, and it's like a manipulation game. Manipulation. And you're hoping, is it worth it? And it can cost you your life. And um, unfortunate, this YouTuber, female YouTuber, passed away 2.5 weeks ago. All these years, and it seemed like even close to the end, the person made reference to this man that she had met up many, many, many years prior, close to 20 years, or even more than 20 years. What was motivating her? Only she really knows. But you just see this similar pattern: wanting validation, wanting the attention, wanting money and fame. And it came to a cost. And later on, okay, according to this one speaker that shared about the person's passing, allegedly he had channeled the person from the other side, the victim who passed away. And it seems to be drug abuse. It seems like with these relationships, these power dynamics, that drugs oftentimes is an element in all this. And it turned out, according to his testimony regarding this YouTuber, that the person was taking over the counter drugs, pharmaceuticals, or I should say prescriptions, and cocaine. I'm not a doctor, but those type of combinations can prove very deadly. And another thing about these so-called relationships, what I'm angry about, the person, you could become used by different people. Sometimes the person that seems to have like you can have someone who's involved in something. Um, they they could be the one that want the connections, the money, and all that. And sometimes reverse. The other person may have the talent and the ability to attract wealth, and people leech on because they know they can make money off of you. And I think with that one person who passed away recently, that might have been part of the dynamics, in my opinion, what could have happened. Drugs. Drugs was an issue. And it could have been to handle the pain from the abuser or emotional abuser, or sometimes they get caught up in the hype, and you got to make up stories to build your brand. Some people may not be on the level with you. They become a cult of personality. Their personality is alluring. It's attractive. It's appealing. But is it real? And they too can attract people. They could attract people to give them money. And then they start to get demanding. See that demanding factor? It's like a control thing. Demanding. Hey, demanding views or thumbs up, and they start to push it on you. And they may start to demand money. Wow. Yeah, it's a cult of personality too that can happen. It's something that it builds up and builds up in this person. And they start to believe their own stories. Stories that are being told over the years. Start investigating these people that you might, these cult of personalities, whether it's a performer, a YouTuber, singer, dancer, actor, actress, musician. Some of them have the appeal, cult of personality. And then you're afraid to say no. That could happen. You're afraid to say no because you don't want to, lose their attention or the potential of fame with them or all the hype. You don't want it to break, this hype. And you can get caught up. You can get caught up in their mess. Then you start saying, hey, well, I thought this person told me X, Y, and Z. Then you start to see the inconsistencies of the stories. You don't know what's true anymore. What is true? Doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that they can control you. They control you. And they start to program your thinking. And all your logic goes out the window. Yeah, people are real clever. And they'll say all these things to you on their program. They could maybe tell you that that they abuse themselves. Can the person that's abused become the abuser? Hello, people. I think yes. Someone who is abused can also become the abuser in this cult of personality. And after a while, especially with women, they get caught up in it, caught up, and then they get into addictions. A lot of these people are in addictions. And I think some of these addictions, what's fueling their behavior. Some YouTubers or people that you hear on social media, their personality starts to change. Or they start making claims. And they are totally absorbed in everything. And then it's the burnout. I mean, I've heard of YouTubers faking their own deaths. I've heard of this. And then, like 4 years later, this person resurfaced. They lied on their social media. And when they got found out, they faked their death. And then they came back on. And then they apologized. Oh, I'm sorry, people. Blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I was talking to someone that I was upset about some of the news that I heard on social media. And the person shared with me, says, yeah, they remind me that some people could even fake their death. Some people could fake their death. Wow. Yeah, all for what?